Well, I hope that you're doing well, that the week is treating you right so far. Certainly hope you're not sick or hurting in any way, but I know it would be unrealistic to think that somebody's not going through something right now. So if you're hurting or sick, please let us know. Um, we want to be praying for you. Prayer is powerful, so please let us lift your name up in prayer before our Father. If you need anything, please reach out to us and ask us. We're going to jump straight into it. Like we've been doing recently, we've been reading shorter books of the Bible that we're not perhaps accustomed to reading all that much. And we're still going to be doing that for the next few weeks. But tonight it's time to read the Sermon on the Mount again. If you've noticed, we do this just about every 2 months. That's usually the period. So 2 months, just about every 8 weeks, we try to read the Sermon on the Mount. It's something, honestly, we should do every month. But I know for a video, we probably want newer type of content. So we certainly don't want to repeat all the time every week. But we want to read the Sermon on the Mount. Now, I want us to do that. But I want us to think about something as well while we do that. I want us to not only read the Sermon on the Mount, I want us to read all of Matthew chapter 4 as well. And in Matthew chapter 4, what we see is we see Jesus being tempted. Okay? Jesus is tempted 3 times by the devil. All 3 times he responds with Scripture. Now, that tells me something. When we're facing temptation, Scripture is powerful, right? In sort of fighting off the devil and his schemes. Jesus quotes Scripture. There's power in Scripture in order to overcome temptation and helping us overcome temptation. But there's also power in praying. And what we're going to see is in the Sermon on the Mount, when we get to the model prayer, Jesus is going to say, pray that you enter not into temptation, right? So there's power in praying as well when we are tempted, but even before we are tempted at all. We talked Sunday a little bit about the devil. The devil, Peter says in his epistle, is walking about like a roaring lion, seeking whom he may devour. Lions don't hunt that way. Lions don't hunt while they're constantly roaring. That's not how they hunt. They get in tall grass and they stalk their prey and they move slowly and they inch up and forward and forward. And finally, when it's time to pounce, they go full speed and they try to track down their prey and kill it. But they hunt in a very stealthy way. They don't roar and let their prey know that they're there. But Satan apparently is walking about like a roaring lion. So that ought to tell us a couple of things. Number one, Satan is totally arrogant and prideful. He thinks that he can let us know that he's there and he can still trip us up. Number two, if he's roaring, we ought to see him coming, right? What does this tell us? That we ought to be reflective in our lives as Christians. My temptation is probably different from your temptation. Your temptations are probably different than my temptations. We're all tempted. Our temptations are different. But here's the fact. We know, generally speaking, where it is in our life that we are tempted. Because if we are self-reflective, we will note the areas in our life in which we are sadly accustomed to giving in to that temptation. So what I want us to do tonight is to read the Sermon on the Mount and glean from the words of Jesus how we might, as Christians, overcome temptation. Part of that, I think, is what we just said. Number one, we need to know Scripture. It needs to be a part of who we are. It needs to be internalized so that it becomes a part of who we are. Number two, we need to have active prayer lives. But number three, we need to be self-reflective. It's good for us to think back as Christians about the day that we've had. places in our life that we've messed up, places in our life where we were tempted. It's good to think about those things, to know where Satan is going to target us. So I want us to read the Sermon on the Mount tonight, glean from the words of Jesus, specifically how we might, as Christians, overcome temptation. And of course, we're going to learn a number of things if we're reading the Sermon on the Mount. Let's put the words of Scripture into our hearts. Let's let it become a part of who we are. Can't wait to see everybody Sunday. God bless.